The only reason this channel is even remotely successful is because of personality. If I wasn't being an actual idiot in front of the camera trying to crack a joke, this is crazy, everything I'm going for in this channel would fall completely flat. Imagine taking out the humor, the jokes, the personality out of this channel and video. What are you left with? Some really good editing, some nice sound design, some cool visuals? Sure, it isn't bad. It's not the worst thing on the internet. Hell, it's actually pretty decent. But you know what it isn't? Unique. What I do isn't the most unique thing on the entire internet. People do this all the time. But I put my best foot forward. I try to make something unique inside of this already really weird video game media landscape that we're in right now. I can do what every other creator does. Make an overzealous let's play, do collab videos, challenges. But that's not what I want to focus my time on. That generic tuber mindset that a lot of people have dubbed it as is super positive for a lot of people. Money, fame, marketability. It's easier to do that type of stuff than actually make something wholly original and unique. But sadly, this idea of following trends and doing what other people have done isn't just a YouTuber issue. It's a creative one. It's easier to make a sequel than it is to make a wholly original film. Why make a really cool and interesting, unique comedy when I can just reboot one that was successful 20 years ago? This is the mindset of Hollywood right now. Sometimes it works for both the studio and the audiences, and it's amazing. But most of the time, it doesn't. The games industry works to a similar degree like that, but to a different tune. I feel like there's a lot more trend chasing in this industry. MOBAs are huge. Let's make a ton of them. Just throw it at the wall because MOBAs are in right now. Look how much money League of Legends is making. Look how much popularity Dota 2 has. It's gotta work for us, right? Oh, and let's not forget a huge drag on last gen, the military shooter. Oh, military shooters are in? Let's make 100 of them. Everything became a dull shooter. Even games that were absolutely fantastic, that asked moral questions, that were super interesting, were disguised in the marketing as a dull military shooter because in focus groups, that's what the industry said was popular and sold well. As long as Call of Duty sold well and Battlefield did well, other companies would follow suit and take it as Bible. You know what's more annoying than just a fad that goes through a few phases or whatever and goes away after a bit? It becoming an actual staple of the video game industry. Some games started to feel like Call of Duty, and that's great in terms of a mechanic sense because I think Call of Duty is a really great game gameplay-wise. Games that weren't originally supposed to have this serious soldier type of vibe were suddenly undergoing changes to become a generic shooter. Some games became serious when they really shouldn't have been. Environments started to blend together. Characters became non-existent. Don't get me wrong. Last gen created some amazing games, and some of them were actually really amazing shooters. One of my favorite games of all time is Modern Warfare 2. But the thing about last gen that sucked was so much of the culture around it was desperately trying to catch up to Call of Duty and its exceeding sales every single year. In that chase, a lot of these experiences became blurs. I'd forget about a game as fast as I'd plop down $60. That's kind of the vibe that I've been getting for the last few years. But when I started to feel that all hope was being lost, one game in particular recently made me realize that things were getting better, actually for a little while. And that game is Overwatch. Overwatch is colorful, unique, extraordinarily hilarious. It is everything that last gen shooters and video games in general were lacking. And by the amount of buzz and players that are actively playing every single day, I'd venture to guess that this game is a massive success for Blizzard. But Overwatch's success isn't based on a new idea. It's based on a bunch of old ones. Personality. It all goes back to personality. Take, for example, you and I. We make a video game. The gameplay is perfect. It is masterful. It is the best gameplay that this game could ever want. Then we just don't add graphics. We make it really bland. We make it look like anything else. It's not special looking. It doesn't have personality. It's just a game with pretty decent gameplay. If that game doesn't have something special going for it, is it really something special or worth your time at all? The games industry has been chasing trends ever since the Atari days, right? But some of the biggest franchises and games of all time have been games that are personality based. A sassy hedgehog, an insane bandicoot, a heroic plumber, a space marine that is very, very mysterious. Those are iconic characters, franchises based on characters that are legitimately iconic. But in the middle of these generations, through Xbox 360 and PS2, I think we kind of got a little bit lost. What makes a character interesting or iconic isn't what a focus group deems viable for a mainstream audience. No, it's something that is wholly original and can connect with a player because they've never seen it before. Every year or so, Ubisoft comes out on their stage and announces a new Assassin's Creed that is basically a cookie cutter from the last one, touting iconic characters and new locales, but it kind of just ends up being the same thing. Call of Duty is in a place right now where it's too afraid to go backwards in time and go back to a place where the fans actually want it to be. That, my friends, is not what makes a successful franchise that is unique and will be remembered for years upon years. Overwatch is so amazing because it doesn't try to copy a dying trend. It goes on its own path, does its own thing, and makes something that is actually new and special. It even goes on a path that's independent from games that are widely successful. Instead of copying what League of Legends is doing, Overwatch takes some ideas from it and makes it its own. Instead of following what games like Destiny are so popular for, Overwatch just kind of looks at it and takes similar ideas and puts it into its own thing. It doesn't try to follow that path and try to copy and go into that fan base. It tries to make something wildly different. A new fan base, a new group of people, a new community of people. Instead of following exactly what these paths do, they follow the mindset of these developers. They all set out to do something a little bit different. Take ideas from other franchises, take ideas from other games, of course, but make a community, make something original. Trends are all business. I get it. And for as many Overwatch new original video games that are super successful and really, really great, there's always going to be a game like Brink. A game that's not really successful but tries to do something very different. So there's always going to be that mixture of, should a publisher make something different and new, unique, or should they just stick to something that's tried and true and already successful? But following an inevitably dying trend has hurt us all as gamers because we're not identifying with these franchises, we're identifying with just the gameplay of it. When I play Overwatch, I identify with Tracer and Reaper, and I find these characters actually legitimately interesting, and they're fun to play, and they have personality. When I play League of Legends, I play my characters because they look cool, and they're awesome, and I like their abilities, and I know them. But with games like Call of Duty, I have nothing against them. They're fun to play here and there, but the fact that they've infiltrated so much of video games as we know it, it just makes me sad to see. Overwatch is so unique, it's fun, and it shows that video games can be and should be something different, something wholly original. As I'm making this video about how originality and personality is so important in video games, a studio out there is making a colorful team-based shooter because Overwatch is super successful and they want to jump on the bandwagon. So, I guess, whatever then.